only joking. So today we're going to look at the Koss Pro 450. In its own right, I think it's quite an interesting headphone with actually a lot to talk about. So this headphone was made in 1988, which would have put itself in direct competition with headphones like the MDR V6 or 900 ST from Sony. It seems to be a studio headphone. It has the Pro moniker, everything about it sort of tells me that it was designed for the studio application, not for home use. So let's start with the build and aesthetics like usual. First of all, the headband. Overall, very impressive build quality. Not a huge fan of the rivets here, but that can be forgiven if it lasts long at least, which this one has, but this one also hasn't had a lot of use. Overall, the steel spring headband, the adjustment sliders with the stoppers are all very well put together. Well, seems like it's been well designed. The vinyl suspension strap feels like it's a very nice quality as well. However, there's one fatal flaw. This headband is actually tiny. It's so small, I can barely fit it over my ears on the maximum extension. It actually doesn't fit. I have to move it in a strange position over my head to wear it comfortably. So that's a huge problem. Next, the cups. I'm not sure what plastic it's made from, but it's fine. I've actually seen a lot worse, felt a lot worse on better headphones, or rather more expensive headphones. Better is not the right word to use there. The ear pads are the usual vinyl that you see on other Koss headphones, studio monitors. They're the inflatable kind, where you push down on one side and inflate on the other. So yeah, the usual. The only thing different about this compared to what you might expect from the Koss Pro 4AA or the 4AAA is that this is an on-ear headphone with a rather small, I think it's a 25mm driver, or at least a 25mm surface area with a surface width with a 30mm housing. So this would probably count as a 30mm driver. 30mm, not a great choice from Koss there. More on that later. This appears to be a mount system for a microphone, so this could have very definitely have been used as a proper headset for monitoring. And the plug, it's not a mini XLR, it's actually a 2-pin plug with a dummy 3rd pin. So let's take a look at the cables. Actually, the cables themselves, I like them a lot, especially for small coiled cables. These coils are smaller than average, and the quality is very good. One cable you get, it's with the 6.35mm termination, and the other is with the 3.5mm termination. So the outer ring is actually the ground, and then you've got left and right channels there, and then the third large pin is a dummy pin, which just helps with orientation for left and right. So the final part of the build, something which could be described perhaps as innovation, is instead of going for a traditional cup rotation or swivel system with yokes, they've actually gone for a universal joint, but it operates within inside the headphone and is surrounded with a rubber seal. And it does move in all directions. It is a universal joint. But it has a huge flaw, and that is, no matter how much pressure you sort of apply from normal wearing, it just doesn't move hardly at all by itself. So it doesn't really matter what size your head or ears are. The actual movement is really minimal. You have to push quite hard to get significant movement. I would consider that overall build quality from a objective standpoint, it's fairly high. I would say maybe 7 or 8 out of 10. But the ergonomics, oof, maybe a 2 or 3. It's really bad. Not a huge fan. Can't wear it. Not comfortable. And from its design, it just doesn't really work. So, how does it sound? Let's pull up a frequency response graph. This is one of those cases where the graph does not match my impression of the headphone. For starters, obviously, because of the pads, there's it's very difficult to measure these on the mini DSP ears. So take the channel imbalance with a pinch of salt. That could just be a result of measuring on-ear headphones with on-ear pads on this rig, which is difficult at the best of times, really. But one thing we notice immediately is that there's a very strong peak around the treble, let's say between 6 and 10K, or two peaks. So it looks like this thing has a very strong forward treble presence. It really doesn't. So this is another lesson in don't trust everything you see on a graph. It's not always going to match your impression. So my impression of this headphone is that the treble is actually very strongly lacking. No presence, no sparkle. Most of what's going on is in the sort of the mids and the low end, which unfortunately, due to these not stellar 25mm drivers combined with a sort of quite hollow, large chamber, creates, well, a hollow sound, the kind that you'd normally find on much older, large headphones from the 70s. Kind of sounds like you're listening to music where the music is coming from a cardboard box that's been slightly opened up, or you're listening to music but it's in the next room, turned up quite loudly. It's... yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it, really. Just, yeah, I really do like the design, and it's one of the best looking Koss headphones from, well, the 70s or 80s that I think I've ever seen. In sort of from an engineering standpoint, I do like a lot of the design details and touches, but it just falls so flat on its face. Yeah. Never mind. Hopefully we'll have something more interesting in the next video. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.